live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. Yeah, it's lit in the chop shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based to debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30, let's do a first take. On Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Carter Ray, Skip Bayless and Stephen Smith. From on the court, off the court, straight to the field. Not a man that steals, but I made it steal. To the octagon where I fight to kill. We go face to face, then you write your will. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the floor, I attack the basket. Put you in the casket when I'm overlapping. Never showing mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never showing mercy when I'm in the arena. Step into the ring, you see me as I beat him. Step into the court, I'm never backing down. Killing competition, I'm smacking down. Let me get back to the other stuff at the chop shop, cause they cutting up. It's retro, coming to you live to the chop shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah, we in the chop shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the chop shop live from 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop.
H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, but we're broadcasting all over the world via YouTube Live and Facebook Live. Jim is off the screen right now. He'll be back in a minute. He went to put his hat on. I just want a shout out to our first starting five. Our starting five is always the first 5 people that sign in when we come on the air. That's Derek Johnson, Martin Vaughn, Rod Wells, Rick Wilmore, and Chris Charles. And the 6th person is Kimberly Jackson. And then, hey, you know I got to add that 7th person today, Mindy Collins. What's up, everybody? Hey, it's I just want to start here. I was thinking about something. And it's the final day of the Democratic convention, and it begins with Steve Bannon getting arrested for fraud. And so today, so far, it's 12 o'clock, right? And already Steve Bannon is in custody. Federal judges rule against Trump over his tax returns. The stock market is falling as jobless rates rise, total rises, and Obama's attack on him last night is still reverberating around the country. Last night, I learned a new quote. I got a new quote, and I never heard this. They said, I think Kamala Harris said, there's no vaccine for racism. I mean, just what's up, Dr. Newsom? No vaccine. But okay, businessman. Hey, businessman, let me tell you something. I said the other day, you might not have been on there, okay? And you just do me this favor. I'm going to let you get away with this. This is a troll-free zone, businessman. Okay? Troll-free zone. So some more of that right there you just put on that screen. I'm gonna just get you removed away from the screen. No harm done. But yeah, I'm gonna get you moved off. The censor people gonna get you. I'm just letting you know. You didn't hear it, and it ain't your fault. I know you call yourself coming on. This is a troll-free zone. All right. All right. No. Shaniqua, I'm focused, baby. I got to do my show. All you got to do is sit over there and do it. I got to do this. So I didn't say no. It's a troll-free zone. All right. Now, well, where else I was coming? Before I was so you know what? The NBA. Jimmy, are you back yet? I guess Jimmy back there. No, I'm not gonna get him today because guess what? He just don't understand the importance of this, and I don't have time. I have to give him 2 hours of my time to let him know how important what he's saying. How unimportant what he's saying is. But what else I had? I had a whole lot of stuff. I don't know if you're looking in the background. Okay, Jimmy done changed clothes about 10 times. Okay, he back now, y'all. the man changed clothes 12 times. If you look at the background, it was a unique background. You know, I'm always a guy that's a stickler for history. And I look at the background, those 8, you probably can't see them all. And but if I crop the screen for us, you will see it's 8 individuals behind Jimmy and I. And those 8 individuals happen to have been the 8 African-American students who defied odds and shattered racial barriers when they set foot on the campus of Memphis State University, Jimmy, in 1959. It's recent history now. Luther McClellan, Mavis Nealon Jones, Sammy Johnson, Ralph Prater, Eleanor Gandy, Rose Blakeney Love, Bertha Rogers, who else is that? Looney, and Rogers Looney, and John Simpson. They were all part of, they called the Memphis 8, the first group of black students to go to that great university of Memphis. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. If you're wondering why we got that in the background, Jimmy, they say you got some cocaine white. Don't be saying that kind of stuff, Melvin Dudes. He like that. Don't do that. You know, if you said that about me, I would say, oh, hell no. You said it about Jimmy, he's like, yeah, I like that. But Jimmy, a lot of stuff happened in sports last night. A lot of stuff. What? I don't know where. You know, I got so many places that I want to start, but I'll let you. But shout out to my ex-president, my former president, Barack Obama. He had a great speech last night. People call that one of his most greatest speech ever. No former president ever came to a national convention and laid down the law on a current administration, and he laid it down real tastefully. And what it did to me, Jimmy, I don't know. Yeah, I think you was. Jimmy, I think you would tweeted something about whether or not, Jimmy, I had both of them on. Jimmy, on the TV I had Barack and Kamala, but on my computer I had the basketball game on. So you know what was important to me. I mean, I'm just, I'm a political science guy, so y'all understand. I'm always have a certain thing about politics. And it's just funny, Jimmy. Jimmy, remind me to tell you. Remember I told you about I was out on a boat? I've been going out on boats lately, and I've been seeing, Jimmy, come up in the screen a little bit. And I've been seeing a lot of people with their Trump flags on the, remind me, I'm going to send you a video. Remind me a video to send you about that. But thank you. Oh, he said, how does Black History Day, that was a huge for the nation doing. Oh, shout out to Hal. Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I do it. I'm just telling. That's the Memphis 8, and those the people that allowed me to be able, Jimmy, to go years later to be able to walk on that campus and go into the doors unfettered and doing whatever I wanted to do. So that's why when somebody sent me that picture, I thought it was great. So what you got, Jimmy? What you got for me today?
Oh man. Guys, we're going to go around the lap. We'll make a lap around this thing on Baby Friday. Uh-huh. And that's what we call Thursdays on the Chop Shop. Shout out to everybody. We're going to go through. We got a special guest coming at the top of the hour. As promised with you guys, Rossi Karen is going to join us. And Rossi, made made waves and was the topic of conversation on ESPN a week ago. So we're gonna get him to speak on that particular topic about his proposal that he has suggested to many colleges. Also, now let's make us a quick lap out. I know. Yeah. First thing, we're gonna talk some basketball. We say basketball. We almost at the break, so we go and knock off a couple of things real quick. How about the Astros? How about them Astros? I'm gonna say it a little loud. How about Astros? Yeah, he don't hear me, y'all. How about them mofo Astros? How about you want to know who the hottest team in baseball is right now? The hottest team in baseball right now. Houston Astros, 7 straight. Now, don't get the Dodgers won 7 straight too. Did the Dodgers win last night, guys? Let me make sure. I went to sleep early. How did the Dodgers win last night? I know you tell me that.
Dude, I don't keep up with baseball that much until the Astros get their head toe off. That's the only time I keep up.
Did the Dodgers win last night out? Huh? Did the Dodgers win last night? I help you out. They lost last night to Seattle. Remember that Seattle team who the Astros swept last week? Seattle beat the Dodgers.
But you told me Seattle was good.
Yeah, they good enough.
Turn me down a little bit over there, Jimmy. On your thing, yeah. Yeah, you told me Seattle was good.
They're good enough. They're still in last place, now.
Who in last place? Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
They're good enough. All right. Now, Astros are the hottest team in baseball. And we know, as Doug mentioned, Doug Jones broke the news yesterday for us while we were in progress. Yordan Alvarez, he's out for the year after only playing 2 games. So we're certainly going to miss him.
What happened to him? What happened to him?
Something told some ligaments or something. It told him something about his knee. Freak stuff. It's just crazy. You have one job. You're a DH. Come down and hit the ball. So anyway, he's out for the year. We lose Bregman last night, the Astros. So Bregman has a hamstring injury, which he's going to probably go on the injury reserve. But guess what? We got a new player for the Astros that's been lighting it up. Little kid Tucker. Tucker is a bad fucker. I'm gonna tell you, man. Hey, this Tucker, he the one hit the home run the other day. He won the game 2 days ago, and last night he just yanked one up out of it. Tucker is on fire. So I'm thinking, once again, the Astros pitching, the starting pitching did well. The bullpen was slop again. Hell, they gave up 3 runs in the 9th inning. But we won 13-6. The bats came alive. Astros had 20 hits, Adam. 20 hits last night. So and of course they resume action today. They're playing the Colorado Rockies. That's a 2 p.m. tip-off. Now, and just wanted to get our fix of baseball out the way because, guess what? I'm liking Astros, and they're still in 2nd place behind the Oakland A's in their
Oakland
division.
A's, that team who beat they tried to fight out there. That team they wanted to fight. Yeah. Y'all pitching coach want to talk crazy to a guy in authority on the Astros team, want to talk crazy to a player. Okay. I just want to know.
Yeah. Oakland A's are playing well.
We can take a break.
Hell,
we can take a break.
We're going to take a break, and let's come back and talk some basketball with everybody out there. We're going to make a lap around the NBA. And guess what? There was some losses yesterday that make these playoffs a little bit more intriguing heading into the day. You guys hang right there. Chop Shop. Be right back.
You made it clear that this isn't about telling and urging everybody to go out and vote one way. This is about getting people to go vote.
Yeah.
Making sure your voice is heard.
Using your right.
Yeah.
Using your right. And we all have rights. There's been amendments and rights and things written up over the course of years that a lot of people, especially in the black community, don't know they even have. Mm-hmm. And they've been, frankly lied to for a long period of time to suppress them to believe that they have no rights, either if you had a prior conviction or if you're in Section 8 housing, they will tell you that you don't have certain privileges because you live this certain way or you've been convicted of this certain crime throughout your life. And these stories have been told over and over and over and over to where it trickles down from generation to generation to generation to where the black community don't believe they have these rights. So we're just trying to, man, just educate them and hit home and let them know, like, these are not true, but also they're going to continue to keep coming. They're going to continue to keep happening. So, like I said, it's just all about the education and strengthening the mind.
Now, some of the candidates that's run, obviously, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I'm just going by your social media feed.
Yeah.
You've been very complimentary of Joe Biden, the Democratic nominee, and you also compliment him on his VP, Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
So, will you be endorsing that ticket?
I mean, what's known don't even need to be said. What's known don't even need to be said, man. We'll leave it right at that. What's known don't even need to be said.
Welcome back to the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hanna, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas. And Jimmy, I think you want to start and get in where you fit in with this basketball, and let's talk about it, baby. Let's talk about it.
I mean, you go, first of all, there's a game in progress right now. Miami Heat, Indiana Pacers game 2, and that's the 12 o'clock start, and that game is on ESPN. So, and I think the Miami Heat is up by 12-3 early in the first quarter, jumping all over the Pacers. And Jimmy Butler, quietly getting it done and leading his troops. I mean, especially this team, this Miami team, Bam Adebayo he's an all-star this year, and probably you can make a case saying he's probably the most athletic big man, or one of the most athletic big men in the NBA is Bam. Had him when he was playing grassroots. This dude would a lot of the camps and stuff, they would have like a little impromptu dunk sessions and stuff. Bam would be one of those guys that would come through and do and wow his peers with a few of those dunks. And it's really paying off for him as being as productive as he is, a reliable double pretty much with the Miami Heat. That game, of course, is in progress. You guys check it out. But let's go yesterday. Go first to top to bottom. Quick one right here was the Raptors made mincemeat of the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn was up early and, made it competitive, but
mincemeat.
Van Fleet got hot in the second half or in the second quarter, and he once again led the team in scoring. 24 points, 10 assists for Van Fleet, 5 rebounds, and in that 104-99 win. With Brooklyn.
So Brooklyn 104-99 mincemeat? Mincemeat? Okay. Mincemeat? Okay.
Not necessarily mincemeat.
Okay, all right, okay. I was watching the wrong game then when you said that, because they were sweating bullets.
It took a fourth quarter surge for Toronto after they let Brooklyn let them back in, and they were handling them. It took the lead and maintained it. Brooklyn was winning most of the first half, and if not at halftime, we watched it. Then we were on the air while they were playing. But Toronto once again got it done. A different player. That's what I'm saying. Powell stepped up this time yesterday. 24 points off the bench. And this Toronto team, guess what? Getting it done. But then, let me tell you, if Garrett Temple is leading you in scoring, then you probably ain't gonna win the basketball game in the NBA. And that just bottom line. And so former LSU star Garrett Temple, who would have ever thought of all those players had on that particular team that he would be the last one standing in the NBA getting checks?
I don't remember what team he was on.
He was on the team with Brandon Bass, Glenn Big Baby Davis.
Okay.
What's the athletic cat that went to the league? The wing. Damn. He reminded us of Stromile Swift. I can't think of his name. You guys know it on the feed. The athletic wing on that team. Tag Minor was there. We talking about but he don't count. He didn't make it to the league. I'm talking about guys that actually made it to the league off that team. There were 4 NBA guys, and but Gary Temple, I think he's about 13 years in or something like that. But so next up on yesterday, the Nuggets and the Jazz, and of course the Jazz pull away, get sweet revenge on the Nuggets to even the series at 1-1. Now remember, this series the Nuggets are the favorites. Donovan Mitchell came out with a historic game 1. He backed that up in game 2 with a 30.8 assist performance. Only took 14 shots. Donovan Mitchell. He only took 14 shots, but he was 6 or 7 from 3-point land, 8 assists in that win. You got Ingles added 18, Gobert had 19, and only had 2 blocks, 7 rebounds.
And that's the
off that bench.
Hold up, and that's the series you don't want to see happen. You said don't nobody want to see the Jazz win. Shit, I don't know too many people want to see the Nuggets win. But I got a question for you and these Nuggets. Do the kid who used to play here, do he still play on the team?
What are you talking about?
The kid,
Vanderbilt. Which team you talking about?
Is Vanderbilt still on that team?
No, he got trade. He's in Minnesota. Vanderbilt is in Minnesota now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
okay.
Jared Vanderbilt's in Minnesota, and he's not. And that was a question yesterday that I posed, and I was just wondering, because we mentioned a while ago, we mentioned the first game was the Brooklyn and Toronto, and so I was just trying to see of the 16 teams remaining in the playoffs in the NBA, how many of the teams have a player who's based in Texas, a Texas-based player on the roster of those teams? Now, we know Brooklyn Nets have Jared Allen. Does Toronto have anybody from Texas on there? You guys help me out, Boomer Room. I don't think Toronto does. So now we skip over to the Utah Jazz. They have Emmanuel Mudiay, yes, so they qualify. Jordan Clarkson is from San Antonio, the ASAC area, and he was on fire last night. I had just mentioned him yesterday. I said, boy, Jordan Clarkson, 26 points, and off the bench in that win. Do the Denver Nuggets, do they have anybody from Texas on the Denver roster? I don't think so.
I ain't been paying attention to them.
So that's
a lot of rosters to look through, Jim.
No, I mean we fine. And trust me, we got the Boomer Room right there, and Big Doug is watching, and everything. He'll put it up. I'm just curious to see. I'm gonna say I'm guessing probably at least 10 of those teams.
Should I look at the box score or the whole roster?
You probably want to look at you can look at the box score and tell easier, but it don't matter. It don't matter. But anyway, these Nuggets, how did Denver lose this game yesterday? How did the Nuggets lose? Well, first of all,
what did you say a minute? What you said a minute ago? Now that looked like the Smithereens. That looked like a whooping right there.
Yeah. And it was, and and one of the things that I can point to directly in the box score is just, especially if you follow the Houston Rockets. The Rockets made 23s the other day, and in game 1 when they crushed OKC. Utah made 23s. They were 20 for 44, Adam. 45%. You hit 23s and go 45% in this league, you probably not going to lose the NBA game. And that was a difference maker. Their perimeter, remember the efficiency from the outside. And Ingles 4 for 9, Mitchell 6 for 7, Royce O'Neal, he was 3 for 4. Clarkson 4 for 9. Mudiay was 1 for 2. Mudiay even got in the action. Guys was on fire, and that was one of those games where if you're shooting like that, you're probably going to win. Next up yesterday, we had 4 games.
And you know what they call it, Jimmy? Have you ever seen the commercial? They got a commercial out called "It's a Make or Miss League." I think I'm still echoing somewhere. I'm getting an echo from somewhere. I'm trying to see this. Is my device? I done tried everything over here, and I'm still getting an echo. Maybe that might be a little bit better. Now, yeah. Now, where else you was gonna go next?
Yeah. Now, I mean, the Celtics and the 76ers. Celtics and the Celtics did. Now, that was another made mincemeat. That was definitely mincemeat. Boston went up 27 plus 27 over Philadelphia, and it looks like Philadelphia is ready to go home. I mean, seriously, you could tell when teams are not having fun playing with each other, and that's what I see with Philadelphia right now. Joel Embiid, remember, understand something. The stat line is there, but the overall performance is not. So, in other words, 34 points, 10 rebounds, that normally gets it done. 12 or 13 from the free throw line. That normally, but if you're doing so, and it appears during the course of the game that you're just laying it down, you're saying, man, the hell with it. You're making it job but not fun, even though it's your job. But sometimes your job's supposed to be at least enjoyable. And Embiid is getting that jacket really, really fast. You see?
But what can you do? What can you do with him? What can you do with him? You mean the team? You didn't sign him to. He got a max contract. What can you do?
Not just him. They maxed out Tobias Harris.
Yeah, but what can you do?
Tobias Harris is. They maxed out Horford.
What can you do?
Horford had 4 points, man. 4 points off the bench. He got a max. Remember, the Rockets almost got this guy. I'm glad they didn't. He's too slow for the Rockets. They almost got Horford. Philly took him and thought they had a steal when they got him 2 seasons ago.
Embiid,
what can they do now?
Jimmy,
now
think
they
about it.
You could.
He's a malcontent. If you go ask. If you really probably ask the people around Kansas, he probably was a butthole at Kansas, but he was so talented. He go there, and he's part of the process. He stay out a whole couple of years, so we didn't get a chance to see him because he didn't play. He didn't get nothing done. So rookie year, it wasn't that good. Then soon him and Ben Simmons can't get together. You can't get along with a dude that can't shoot. All he do is pass you the ball, and you can't get along with him. So Embiid, but what can you do when you are poor Elton Brand? He gonna get the blame for this. Brett Brown, he got the complexion for protection. So he might not get the blame, but he's going to get fired. But the GM happened to be Elton Brand, and he's going to get the blame for it. So Tobias Harris and Horford was two of the worst. But they had to do something. See, sometimes in these free agency markets, sometimes it's just good to not do nothing. When you're confused about something, I tell people, when my son has hard decisions to make. I say, if you're confused, just right now don't do nothing until you get clarity. So those guys up there, they just needed a splash. Elton Brand, new GM. Okay, I'm gonna make this happen. But Jimmy, all the time talent on teams. All y'all have to do is look at these summer basketball teams. You put these guys that you think there's good on these teams, but they don't work together as a unit. So that's it's just unbelievable to me that these guys with all this talent can't play together. It's terrible.
Embiid, sometimes when you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. And Joel Embiid, he came into the league and made a splash, and it was humorous when everybody was, you put they had the perfect slogan: stall time and defer, trust the process. That's basically saying, wait, just give us a little time. And you've had more than a little time. You've had a lot of time. And now the question remains, even with Ben Simmons' demeanor, his demeanor is not going to, would not be enough to sway Embiid into buying himself into what it takes to get it done. I think Embiid was so consumed with getting touches, getting numbers, but at the same time, you have to be able to do stuff to make those teammates want to play, and more so to make them want to produce on both ends of the court, and that just ain't happening. Now with these Celtics, we knew that the Celtics were a tougher team. That wasn't even the question. We knew the Celtics has a pretty good doggone bench, and they're deep. And this Celtics team, that's where the question is going to remain. Are the Celtics? Remember, you just lost. What's my fella name from Butler?
I didn't think it was a bad loss, but I guess you liked it.
What's his name?
Haywood.
Yeah, they just lost Gordon Hayward, and but now it enables them to get faster, and they've just stepped right in. It's kind of like mention the Astros losing the play on offense. Another guy come up to the plate, step right in, and you don't even miss. And that's what I'm saying with this Boston team. Understand, Jaylen Brown, 20 points, right? Kemba Walker, 22. You had Cantor off the bench with 10. You had Williams off the bench with 9. I mean, then of course Tatum set a record. We're seeing records being set every other day, guys, in these playoffs in this season, fragmented season as it is.
What
but
record
Tatum
he set?
had 30. He had 33 points. He was 8 for 12 from three-point land. He became the youngest player to ever hit 8 threes in a playoff game.
Okay.
I mean, Tatum has been solid, man. He's been solid. You know, I remember that, you know, and you think back on that draft and people was like, man, Boston was in a tricky spot. Boston win on that pick all day long. People was like, man, should have got Ball, should have got Fox, you got all these other guys, different guys. They got Tatum, they win.
Hey, Danny Ainge said it when he first got it. Danny Ainge said when he first made it happen. He said, man, I got the steal. He walked away like a thief. I'll never forget it. I mean, in Magic, you know, Magic was he was so ball centric that he wanted Ball. I got to have Ball. So he got him. And Ball's gone, and Ball's gonna be gone again. But
well, then they got another one coming in though, and we're gonna, of course, coming up, and we're gonna talk about the NBA draft and of course some of the matchups that's going to take place tonight. We'll get on that next segment. Lastly, before we go into the break, we have one more game to talk about, and that is the Dallas Mavericks 127-114 upsets the Los Angeles Clippers. And this game you see, he ran off and I said them Clippers didn't the guy. You saw that? Ran off when I saw them Clippers.
No.
Let me tell you.
I got something for you. Come on. You already know I got something.
Let me tell you how
I got something for you.
How the Clippers lost. First of all, Paul George did not show up. And that's one key reason. Paul George finished, he was 4 for 17 from the field. He only scored 14 points. And 2 for 10 from three-point land. They need more, and he knows that. Paul George won't finish with 14 points no more this series. And what happened in the process, Dallas capitalized on you not bringing your not even A game, but you're not necessarily bringing your B or your C game. And now, meanwhile, Luka, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7
didn't play either, but keep going. Patrick Beverly was out for the game too, but keep going.
Yeah, Beverly was out, but at the same time, you can't miss Stream never had. You know, you step right on up, next man up, and keep going.
He was there the night before.
Yeah, the night before, the storyline wasn't Patrick Beverly. The storyline
but I'm
was
just saying, Patrick Beverly, he's out. If you gonna say you would have said if anybody else was out. I mean, just paint the picture fair. That's all I'm asking. That's all. Paint the picture fair.
Lou Will stepped up and gave you what he would normally give you and what Patrick Beverly would have gave you in the absence. I'm talking about as far as on the offensive end than Patrick Beverly.
Don't finish your
now,
point.
probably
Don't
not,
finish
of course.
Your point. Then I got it. Then I'm
bottom line, the Clippers ass in the same spot the Lakers in. So all that laughing 2 days ago, what's going on with the Lakers? They both 1-1. The Bucks 1-1. That's about, understand. That's about 4 top seeds that's lost to a bottom seed in this series already. And once again, this Dallas team, although the narratives wasn't pointing at them, they are probably a tougher draw than Portland versus the Lakers. This is spooky because you look at it, especially when you get a guy like Hardaway to get into his groove. When Hardaway, you understand, Hardaway scored about 40 in one game when he was with the Knicks a couple of years ago. And when he's in the groove, Porzingis playing his role. Think about it like this. Luka only played 28 minutes. He was chasing fouls that whole game. Chasing fouls. 28 minutes, 28 points. And they won convincingly, double digits against this team. Don't get it. Kawhi had 35 and 10.
Just let me know when I can talk.
Morris had 14. We got another little ugly sight, Lil Jackson. He had 11. I mentioned Lou Will with 23. Harold, he had 10 off the bench. But Seth Curry stepped up. Steph Curry got 15 points. Steph Curry is, I mean, hey, he's really evolved into a very productive and serviceable role guy off the bench. Steph Curry has really used to be, he's no longer. Think about it. That ain't Steph Curry's little brother anymore. People saying it's Steph Curry, and they've been saying it for a little while now. But once again, this series is a one.
Well, I'd like to add
series.
something. We live in a world, especially you, of recency bias. Like what happened last night is the whole world. Dallas finished 8 games over 500 in the regular season. KD, Steph, and Clay, they had a dynasty, right? They had a dynasty. KD, Steph, and Clay had a dynasty, right? They had 14 playoff losses, okay? The Heatles with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, they doubled that, 28 playoff losses, okay? It's hard to sweep in this atmosphere, y'all. No home court. It's hard. What I saw and what I've been seeing and saw the pattern is your second best player in the playoffs matters. Help me out. I'm going to walk you through this, Jeremy Davis, because it's going to go over somebody's head. The Lakers, AD disappears against Portland in the fourth quarter, right? They lost. Milwaukee, Chris Middleton was awful. They lost to Orlando. Look at the Clippers. Paul George had a stinker last night. They lost. Porzingis ejected in the Dallas game. Second best player. They lost. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Jones, we're in a star-driven league, the NBA. I get it. It's a star-driven league. That's it. But how your second best player performs is crucial in all these games. I'm just giving y'all something to watch from now, just something else to watch. How your second best player, even Dame, like I explained to y'all the other day when y'all talking about Harden can't play, how your second best player, go back to all of them losses Harden had, with all that history you did, Jimmy, do me a favor and go look at how his second best player performed. Over them all them, we just go back and research. Even Dame needed Melo to hit shots, CJ to hit shots, even the young boy, Gary Trent Jr. to hit shots. You can't carry a team in this sport. It's too many good players. Can't carry a team. There is a massive, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, Rick Wilmore. There's a massive gap between stars. Even if they both Hall of Famers, because some pilot like that, well, he's a Hall of Famer too. It's a massive gap between stars. and the second best player on the team. It's a massive, massive gap. LeBron this year was great in the fourth quarter. I went back and checked it. AD disappeared all year long in the fourth quarter. Guess what? But both of them what? Hall of Famers. Kawhi. Let's go with Kawhi Leonard. Mr. Clutch, right? Paul George, historically, is never clutch. That's what they call him. That's the knock on him. That's the knock in the league. He's never clutch. Giannis, dominant, consistent MVP. Chris Middleton disappears. I'm just giving y'all a look at the game and watch the game from out. Your stars, is a big gap between your star and your other star on the team. And that second player on the team, if he don't have a great game, you got a great chance of getting you. I know somebody said something about, Kenny Smith. He talked about always, he said in this game tonight, he said when you look at this game tonight with the Lakers, if Anthony Davis don't have at least 7 offensive rebounds, because he explained it well. He said, Rob, he was on the TV, and this is how I took it. He said, if both teams are getting 90 shots a game, Herb the D, if both teams get 90 shots, most likely the team that shoots better gonna win. If I shoot better than you, I got 90 shots, you got 90 shots, I'm gonna hit more shots than you. My job is that I'll rebound you so I can get more possessions than you to shorten that 90. So we can't have the same 90. I got to shorten the game for you. So that's what I mean. Just take a look at that, y'all. The second best player on your team got to play well in these playoffs to win. But we can go to the break now, but that I had to get that and explain to people.
What happens if the second best player don't even play? Should you win?
But then the next second best player. It's the next second best player. It's the next player, the second best player. Come on, son. I got something for you, dude. I knew you.
Donald Trump hasn't grown into the job because he can't. And the consequences of that failure are severe. 170,000 Americans dead. Millions of jobs gone, while those at the top take in more than ever. Our worst impulses unleashed, our proud reputation around the world badly diminished, and our democratic institutions threatened like never before.
We know what they do say. Tell us what they don't say.
They don't say.
They don't say you can play sports and keep a 4.0 GPA. They don't say you can go after academic scholarships. They don't say you can get your plumbing apprentice license at the age of 16. They don't say you can become a lifeguard, learn CPR, and save lives. They don't say you can become your own CEO at the age of 18. When you're on the go, Germatized hand sanitizer spray.
Welcome back to the best 120 minutes of the day. It's Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, broadcasting live all over the world via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And Jimmy, what else you got? I saw some, let me tell you something. I saw where the NCAA, Jimmy, did something. I don't know if you know the guy, but they hired Dr. Derek Gregg, this ain't first time, Derek Gregg, as the Senior Vice President of Inclusion, Education, and Community Engagement. Mark, okay, let me read something about it. They say, Hold up, Jimmy. He's currently the vice president and director of athletics at Tulsa, and he will serve as the associate chief of diversity and exclusion. My thing is, when you take him away from Tulsa, who gonna get that job at Tulsa? Hey, who gonna get the job? I didn't know Tulsa had the vice president and director of athletics at Tulsa was Derek Gregg, a black man. I did not know that, and I just wanted to make sure. I don't know if you knew that or not, Jimmy. I just wanted to share that. Y'all look him up. A matter of fact, it's Greg, Gragg. Take a look at it. Got a nice article on the NCAA. See what my mind is. The NCAA website about him. Jimmy, is that a good? I mean, what do you think about that move? They had to do something.
I mean, that's an advancement on his resume. So you're stuck in Tulsa and
No. I ain't talking about him, an advancement on him. I'm talking about Mark Emmert making this unprecedented move.
Well, he had to accept the move at the same time. Mark Emmert, I mean, the NCAA, right now they're doing damage control as a result of their recent moves. Remember, they just hired Craig, President Obama's Michelle's brother.
That's the Coaches Association did that. That wasn't the NCAA.
That's the NABC hired him.
This is the NCAA.
NCAA, once again, as I just said, they are in the midst of extreme damage control, period, because they're making concessions, whatever they need to make right now, in order to help try to get favors in return for their stance on the name, image, likeness, which every day that the sun comes up, it decreases the intrinsic value of their arguments. And that is, the NCAA don't want the players to get the full well of name, image, likeness for student athletes, and they're trying to defer and get Congress to make a blanket.
So hiring this dude here is that, because that's who we talking about. So hiring this dude here gonna help them. That's what you're saying.
No, I say it's help with damage control. You're putting another person of color up and elevating them into a position.
Another person. Who is the other person? Craig Roberts don't work for this organization. He worked for. I'm not talking about Craig Roberts. I'm quite sure the NCAA didn't hire somebody else black and gave their ass a raise. Michelle, Craig Robinson. I'm sorry, Craig Robinson.
I said Craig Robinson just now.
Yeah.
I'm quite sure they didn't hire somebody that's black. They didn't gave somebody. They ain't the only guy that they didn't gave a job of advancement to, and they had a couple other guys that didn't quit their post.
This is a senior vice president position, Jimmy.
That's a hell of a job.
Okay.
So what? Right now, once again, they gave if you're doing something that's hurting, most of your student athletes are black. So now you give a person, and then the question has been in
So
play
you're saying it's a token hire?
You damn right. You damn right. You damn right. They could have made this hire 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Jimmy,
the timing of
Jimmy, they could have made a lot of these hires. They could have elected a black president a long time ago. They could have elected. They could have appointed a black assistant, a vice president a long time ago. So you saying this is a token move? You could have did a lot of stuff a long time ago.
Okay, but right now, the guilt is sunk in in the hearts of a lot of people, and now you make moves to be able to lessen the angst that's coming from a different directions. So yes, this is definitely a token move. Now, not 100%, but for the vast majority of that goes into it, yeah, obviously, absolutely, and it's not going to be the last. It'll be more. It'll be others that come.
Well, guess
behind
what?
That.
Guess who gonna make sure they see? Since you said, I'm gonna make sure that is I'm gonna make sure this token move. I just want to see. I just want to see.
And speaking of NCAA, the Pac-12 has established and created a position, and whereas they have a commissioner of football now for that conference. And Merton Hanks, the former secondary star from the 49ers back in the days, the one that had that long neck. It looked like that neck was about that long. He's now the Pac-12 football.
Is that a token move too? That's token move too?
Not as extreme on the same level of the NCAA, but you know, I think that was a smart move because the Pac-12, understand something, Hatter, California is the nucleus of the Pac-12, the state of California. The California is not on the same page with the NCAA. So that's not the same parallel type decision. Think about it. Once again, California is anti-NCAA as far as the political realm of the state right now, meaning the governor, and everything else goes downhill. So no, they're not on the. It's not the same type of token move with this. This is a smart move for the Pac-12, not the token move. Smart move.
So the NCAA was a token move. That wasn't a smart move.
It's token first. It could be smart as well. I'm not saying it's 100% token. I just said the vast majority of it. It could be 70%. It could be 51% token. 49% very smart. It could be 30%. Could be a relationship, in which a relationship definitely has something to do with it. That's all. It ain't no. I mean, hell, dude, the time and look at what's going on in the world right now. Certain moves, that's like with football. The NCAA, people have long been crying for the NCAA to have a commissioner of football. Emmert is over all decisions. That's what I'm saying. That's why this is the smart move. So now they get to see you have football, have a person who directly governs football in that conference, which is very smart.
So just one conference? How's that going? So that means every conference should follow suit.
Yes, they're going to watch closely. You doggone right. Well, the Power Fives.
That's what I'm talking about.
Every conference will follow suit. Yeah, they should definitely follow suit. And I mean, this is. I mean, man, especially, and then you get the right person in there. Now everything don't go on the shoulders. That you on the chessboard, you put a rook right there. So now everything don't get blamed on the queen, while the king is out to getting captured. So that's what I think about that. And also, we had some more NCAA news. And that is, I know what it was. They are the D1 Council has recommended, right, the extension for the eligibility for players whose seasons gets canceled, or if they participate in 50% or less of the games allowed in their sport this season. Meaning you put it in 50% or less of the games, then you can get extension of eligibility. They're recommending that. And not to say it's going to get passed, but that's once again, the smart move. That's the smart move, because there's a lot of teams right now, and you think about it, like say football, few conferences have already pushed football to the spring. Well, we're talking Power Fives right now. We're not talking about the SWAC, which they pushed theirs to the spring as well. We talked about it yesterday on the Chop Shop. But think about it like this: those Power Five, like the Big Ten, several of those players on those teams are on the NBA draft boards, or have a legitimate or serious NFL prospects. Do you play in the spring going into the NFL? What month is the NFL draft, Howard?
They shouldn't play.
What month is the draft?
I don't know.
Football. What every year? Is it June? No.
I don't even. I just, it ain't just on the tip of my head, but I don't think they should.
So now that's what goes into this comment that the Alabama coach mentioned the other day when he says, when he paraphrased, when he gave a blanket statement about, refers to a lot of teams will be playing JV players in the spring. He wasn't talking about every team in college. We're talking about those Power Five schools that normally field a bulk of those projected 4 or 5 stars. So you saying don't play?
Why would you? It's in April. They should.
April.
The top guys.
So think about it. That's
So
crazy as hell. Why the hell would you
it
play
ain't
college
crazy,
football?
Jimmy. They not gonna play. They already telling you they not gonna play. It ain't crazy. I mean, the top guys already saying they're not gonna play.
But then you got guys like Sunshine say we want to play. You know what I'm saying? And Sunshine is different.
Sunshine said they want to play football now. Sunshine, okay, but you got to think about. I don't know where Sunshine from. Sunshine might play. I know Justin Fields ain't gonna play. I bet that. Nah, how about that?
I mean, so that's a lot of things. Like sometimes we don't think about. We are woke to a lot of things, and it sounds good. We're gonna push football to the spring, but that's what's at stake for a lot of these teams.
But Jimmy,
And
everybody ain't going to the NFL, so them other kids still need to play. The other kids.
I understand that.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the other kids. We're talking about you're talking now about the narrative is going to become these guys are bailing out. Watch. They don't want to, their teammates, they're going to leave their team. Kind of like back, remember U of H when Ed Oliver, what's his name? Ed Oliver, the lineman, Oliver, started at U of H about 3 years ago. Remember when he decided not to play in the bowl game? Yeah. And remember, understand, his coach wasn't a fan. Obviously wasn't behind him because the coach let the media tear him up without coming and saying, hey, man, he ought to play.
Jimmy,
why would he do teammates like that?
The coaches are never behind. Do you expect that coach to be behind him?
No, the coach can, even if you ain't behind him, the coach can come and make a statement to kind of serve as a bucket of water to dash on the fire. You ain't gonna put the fire out, but at least you can just stand there and be that's what they call politically correct. That's what they call coach speak. And he didn't give it at all. And then guess what? Then next thing you know, similar thing happened to De'Aaron King and the kid from Manville. And then De'Aaron King just let it on out, because this kid here was going through some other circumstances with family and passing of his father and all this stuff right here. He was like, the hell with it, just let it out. But that's what, a lot of these guys, why would some of the star players just say Alabama? So, yes, Nick Saban is going to speak on it. Alabama think about how many, now the SEC is not scheduled to play in the spring. They're going to push forward with their fall schedule. But let's say if they did, that's what they're saying now. But if they did, then it would be really seriously of concern for Alabama football as to how many of those guys would be snapping up their chin straps if they were starting their season in the January or February. That's the thing. I know that kid. Think about it. They got the little kid from Episcopal, Jalen. What is Waddle? Mm-hmm. He ain't gonna play unless I've been stopped.
I wouldn't play. I would not play. Let me tell you something, Jimmy. What y'all keep forgetting? This pandemic is going to a lot of things going to rear up that never happened before. We've never seen before. It never even thought of it before. So, but I know, Jimmy, it's the top of the hour, and we got a special guest, and we don't, we want to give him all the time that we can give him because I know you'll go on and on and on, and so I'm not going to even. Let's just cut to the special guest. Let's get him on in here. Then we'll take a break after we get him settled in. So you can announce him.
Well, we officially, and we are indeed on the back nine right now. We're going to ask you guys to share the show with your timelines and your friends. If you're on the Facebook feed, give us a thumbs up, guys. If you're on the YouTube screen right now, following us. And just in case, give you guys an update, 39-39, Miami, Indiana tied up in the closing minutes of the first half. But we have a young man that has made waves from out of Port Arthur, Texas. Right? Lord. So I know that's how Jones been hanging around in the boom boom room, supporting his fellow trio companion from the Port Arthur Lincoln High School. And back when, the home of Steven Jackson and all those guys. But this young man came and has been a student of the game, learned a lot under the guidance of John Lucas during his pre-draft camps, and which were popularized about a couple of decades ago, and ended up going into the grassroots sector, whereas he attracted a sneaker sponsorship, which produced a McDonald's All-American. And now he hurried up and hopped out of that and jumped into the event operating business on the collegiate ranks primarily, and that is Rossi Karen. We have with us today Rossi. We welcome you to the Chop Shop. This is not your first time. Okay. How's everything going with you these days, young fella? We hadn't seen you in a while.
It's been a long time. Everything is good. What's up, Chop Shop?
It's been exactly 8 months, Rossi. Because guess what? I got a computer that keeps up with the last time you was talking. So it's been exactly 8 months, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good. It's good to be back. You guys doing all right?
Oh yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you good. You good.
So
yeah,
tell
good. And
now what.
now we can't hear Jimmy. Jimmy, come on. What did you say?
Now, I'm there.
Yeah, well, you back.
I see. We want to ask you what have you been doing lately, and tell us the name of your company now and what you and what are you guys up to?
I recently started a events management company called U Sports Group, but the last few months, just like most people, I hope, I just kind of been in the house, working from home, trying to be safe, trying to keep my family safe, and trying to spend as much time with my wife and my two beautiful daughters as possible. So, my family is good, everybody's safe and healthy, so that's the most important thing to me right now. So, but other than that, I'm just working and waiting, just like we all are doing.
Well, Rossi,
and
you made news the other day. I'm reading them. I'm always reading ESPN, and I'm just reading through an article, and your name pop up. I said, hold up, I know him. I should have called you, but I'm glad I didn't. So this is not. We didn't rehearse this or nothing. But what's the unique thing, and what made you? Because I'm a little confused about this bubble stuff, and how it would happen, and who it would benefit, and so. Yeah, they had an article. It just walk us through, through the embryonic stages and what made you birth this baby.
I think that with the times and kind of the situation that we're in now, and it means all of us. I mean, the world has changed before our eyes over the past 5 or 6 months. But for me, we have two other events. An event on November 13th. In Dallas, Hoop Hype XL, which will feature Oklahoma State and North Texas. And then we also have an event at the Toyota Center December 18th planned, which will feature Texas A&M versus Boise State, and then also University of Texas versus Louisiana Tech. So for me, I was just kind of brainstorming about, how to protect those two events and how to protect the athletes and the coaching staffs that would participate in those events. So just kind of brainstorming and talking to coaches and just trying to get insight from them on what their concerns were, what their reservations were for even playing the season, and just kind of started working from there. And a good buddy of mine, who I won't mention his name, is an assistant at a high major school. We just kind of bouncing some ideas off each other, and he kind of said something that triggered the thought, hey, this is probably the best way to go about it. And in reality, I could be wrong. I'm not a medical expert, but as things stand today, based on all of the information that I'm getting from, people who are consulting me, there is no college basketball season, non-conference, conference, or beyond without a bubble, unless things significantly improve from what things are today. So that was kind of the genesis of it, and just kind of been working on it ever since the last few months.
Okay. Jim?
Now, you mentioned there is none unless things change significantly. What are some of those things that would have to change significantly for it to be a basketball season, in your opinion?
to have a basketball season, a normal basketball season with 11 or 12 non-conference games and fans, one of you guys would have to have the cure for the virus today. And as it stands, no one has that. So I think a standard basketball season that we've seen in years past, I think is at this point is probably beyond the realm of possibility. So I think at that point it's trying to figure out what are some alterations that can be made to the season that could help benefit everybody and allow us to be able to play a non-conference schedule, a conference schedule, and an NCAA tournament. And ultimately, all of this is in the hands of the NCAA. So whatever they decide, what direction they decide is going to be.
And Rossi, and you as an event operator, I'm just trying to find out, because I've been talking around, because I was thinking about with no fans. So it means no fans, no concessions, no parking, no nothing, no fans. And
it's a different space.
Huh?
That's a totally different space when you talk about event operating.
That's what I'm saying. So when I was reading the article, I said, "What? It's got to be something else. It got to be something else." Because I heard, because see, being a businessman, things got to make sense. Mm-hmm. And if it ain't make money, it don't make sense. So I just had to figure out. And then you said the teams. And you correct me if I'm wrong. The teams had to foot the bill. If the team want to play in your bubble, they have to pay.
They have to buy in.
Yes, in essence, yes, because of the expense of you have to basically shut down an area. And then when you talk about COVID testing, with the range of COVID testing, the way it is at this point, it's an expensive endeavor, but it benefits the teams. And so for us, our the way we kind of have this laid out is that teams would basically use the money that they were going to for their buy games that they have set aside already, because the teams want to play. They want to play a non-conference schedule. It benefits.
I found that out
at every level, because if you go straight to conference play, right, and let's call it 16 games. Let's say it's an abbreviated schedule. You play 16 games. It'll take you 6 games, 7 games as a coach just to figure out your rotations. Who should be in at the end of games? Who should take the last shots? Who shouldn't be playing? So you'll be halfway done with the season. So I think for non-conference games, I think it gives you a chance to kind of get a feel for your team, get a feel for your rotations, and ultimately prepare your team for the conference season. That is the goal of the non-conference, is to prepare for conference. So I think that teams want to have a non-conference schedule. Again, it probably won't be 8 games if the NCAA allows a non-conference schedule at all. But I could see a scenario where, teams play 6 or 8 non-conference games in preparation for conference play.
Herb just had a great one. Herb, you quit reading my notes, because I was going to ask you. He said, plus isolating kids who are not professionals from their families. Well, they're at school now, isolated from their families now, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so
I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, and that I think the NCAA has made it clear that kids can opt out of playing sports this season if they not lose their scholarship and still have all of the benefits of their scholarship. Yeah. So in a scenario with a bubble, everybody would have the opportunity to decide if they want to play or not.
But Rossi, if those kids back out, I know these coaches. You can sit up here. They're going to hold it against them guys. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care how good a friend these coaches are, y'all's. They're going to hold it against them guys.
It depends on how good the player is. It depends on how good the player is.
Same thing. Excuse me.
If that player is a star,
good the player. I said they're going to hold it against how good he is or not. They're going to hold it against him.
But that goes in. But that's a part of life, though. If you're the star player, then that coach, you're not going to have many ramifications. If you're the last guy on the scholarship on the bench, guess what? They're going to make life hard for you probably. But and that's how they would do.
I think student athletes want to play. I mean, if you really get to the heart of it, I mean, they're there on campus to get an education, and they're also there to participate in athletics. But if you poll those guys privately, those guys all of them think they're there to play basketball only.
Dude,
That's the most important thing.
I can see that, Rossi. I can see that now. It's a basketball tournament every weekend in Houston, every weekend in Dallas. It's crack.
And they're there.
Jimmy said it's blue magic. It's crack. These folks, they gotta have it. So you're saying? So what I say then, if they want to play that back, see the players. What I've learned though. When I was 19 and 18 and 20 years old, Rossi, I didn't make great decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to repeat that. When I was 18, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old in college, I didn't make great decisions. So players going to want to do. Let me tell you something. These young guys, they always tell me, well, I'm going to let them do it. Let me tell you something. Players don't want to empty the garbage, but mom and daddy make them. So players gonna have decisions and make harsh and bad decisions. I don't think we should leave it up to the players. I just don't, because I know some mistakes that I wish I had to talk to some grown folks about when I was 18 and 19 instead of making them on my own.
I think that I've heard other coaches say this as well. Let's say the kids were not playing sports this year. There were no sports at all. Sports were canceled. I don't know if it's safer for those kids, right, to be away from sports and to have the freedom to kind of move around and hang out and party, because the kids are going to be around, the campus population anyway. Mm-hmm. So in essence, if you at the core, if you think about it, being in a secluded bubble where you have testing every day and medical staff on board, it may be safer than being on a college campus if sports are canceled, because the guys are just going to hang out and party anyway. And I think we're seeing that across the country with schools reopening.
Just because the schools reopening don't mean it's good, Ross. To me, just because they're opening. They're opening because somebody made a decision to open them. Mm-hmm. Just because somebody make a decision to open them don't mean it's a great decision. That's all I'm saying. We leaving. Coach, and the reason I wanted to ask you that is because you said something about the kids want to play. Yeah, they want to play. Mm-hmm. But like Herb Ledee just said, he said if they do it like the league, it'll be a safest place on earth. Everybody don't have, Herb Ledee, the resources that the NBA has. The NBA is so proactive, Rossi, I'm not even sure you know this. They donated money to Yale University, and that was overlooked. And I should have brought it up on my show because they donated to Yale to get a saliva test to develop a saliva test. So the NBA is just, they got the resources to do that. Ross, do these teams, do these schools have the resources to come in, and I guess in pods, what's the I got a question for you. What is the maximum number in your bubble that you feel you can handle?
Again, a lot of that's going to be predicated on where testing is 3 months from now. Our proposal was based on 20 teams divided into 2 divisions.
That's what I want. Okay, 20 teams. That's it.
And the goal is just to create a safe, secluded, competitive environment for these athletes. And again, if all sports were canceled tomorrow, right?
Okay.
Those same student athletes would be in the rec center hooping tomorrow.
If the rec center's not closed, because they closed the rec centers down at one point.
At one point.
Yes. Okay, I just wanted to add that.
The kids are going to play. Like even here in Houston, there are gyms that are full of people. The kids are going to play. So in my opinion, if kids are going to play, being in a bubble, to me, is the safest place for them to be. Now, if you say, hey, they're canceling sports and kids are going to sit at home, then hey, that's safer. But we both know that's not going to happen.
So help me out. Walk me through this. And me and you haven't even talked. I don't know what you have planned. let's say the George R. Brown Convention Center. We can fumigate that, clear that thing out, and it's big enough to have how many other courts you want to. They can configure it anyway. You got the Hilton over there. You got to quarantine that. You got the Marriott Marquis over there. You got to quarantine that. So you say you need 20 teams. Then you got to quarantine. You got to quarantine I'm just talking. You got to quarantine, and you just help me out. Just paint a picture for it. You got to quarantine the Four Seasons, and all the hotels. What's the one? All of them around there. That's how the NBA. All I'm saying is that's how the NBA has had zero testing. You can't get on that campus. What if one of the young boys want to sneak a girl in like Kima Silverand did the other night? You remember, he's 18, 19, 17, who don't make great decisions and not getting paid, or just student athletes. I just threw that out there, just troubleshoot you, because, this is a big undertaking. And to whom much is given, much is required. So what do you think about that?
I think that there are going to be challenges everywhere, even with the NBA bubble. Guys are sneaking and moving around. So I think that it's unrealistic for any of us to expect that there's a bubble scenario anywhere. Here, regionally, if the NCAA does one for March Madness, that there is a situation where it is mistake-free and that every athlete does what they're supposed to do. So I think that that's a given. I think that our goal, and the goal for anybody who's running an event, should just have kind of preventative measures in place, which includes security, includes locking down certain entrances and exits, so that there's some accountability for who's coming in and out. And in our scenario, the only people that would be allowed in are the people who are supposed to be there on our staff, or a part of the official travel party of those teams. And nobody would be allowed to leave and re-enter, if that makes sense. So the environment would be, safe. It would be secluded, but it wouldn't be a deal where guys can come in and out. It wouldn't be. And guys would quarantine on their campus first for 7 days during the Thanksgiving holiday period, when all of the student body is gone. Then they would come here to Houston and quarantine with us for 3 days. We would test them daily. We would do temperature checks daily as well. So they have practices. They'll play 1 scrimmage and 8 non-conference games throughout the 21-day period. But both the basketball facility and the living quarters would be locked down.
Yeah. Okay. And Rossi, just to help you a little bit, I know you said nothing is foolproof, but that NBA bubble, I know several people down there, and let me tell you something. You're gonna have to. I don't know if you remember what's that? The Italian Job, with that movie, The Italian Job. You're gonna have to be that good. Go take a. If you haven't seen that movie, go look at it. You got to be that good to get your butt in there and get out. Because guess what? Wherever checkpoint you have to go through, you got to have one of these, or you can't get through the checkpoint. The beep gonna go off. So it's I know it's a massive undertaking, but if you're gonna take on it, it's hey, I'm curious. I can't wait. I'd love to see how. You got to understand. Look, I just pictured how it can happen here in Houston. Shut down that whole area, Discovery Green, all of that. We can't say that. We got to get enough resources to shut all that down. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying to have, if you want to have a safe environment, that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely, and that's the most important thing. Is again, the health and safety of the student athletes is important. And again, we've been working on this for 3 or 4 months, so we're pretty far down the road on this thing. And a lot of the questions that you're asking, we had to ask ourselves. And medical professionals that are helping us have asked those same questions. So, we feel like we're prepared that if the NCAA, allows non-conference schedule to take place, that we could, have that environment here in Houston that would give teams an opportunity to play the games that they need before conference.
So, Rossi, in your proposal, how many rooms would be needed to pull this off? In the proposal that you have detailed right now, How many hotel rooms?
Man, you want me to give away the game?
I mean, it's already out there. So that's the whole thing. You gave away the game with ESPN, so it's out there. Remember, they said the first detailed bubble proposal. That means they're expecting more to come behind you.
Yeah, I'm sure there are quite a few more. Again, the number of hotel rooms depends on the number of teams, but what our medical staff is recommending that everyone has their own room. So if you look at, a travel party of, 24 or so per team, you do 24 times 20 teams, and then you look at, probably 100 or so staff members, and then you get your number. But like I say, you would basically have to shut down, some living quarters where people cannot go in and out outside of the people who are supposed to be there. So, we're working with, people who are pretty smart in the medical field to kind of give us and kind of help us kind of craft our guidelines and our manual and our protocol for this deal. So again, at this point, it's going to be up to the NCAA to decide which direction they're going to go for the start of the season and if they allow non-conference games. But we are prepared if they do.
Now, what city are you proposing?
We'll do it here in Houston.
And so I do know that the Marriott Marquis has roughly 1,000 rooms, and I know that the Hilton Americas has more rooms than the Marriott Marquis. So if that's the case, then, bingo, you have, and both of those hotels are connected to the convention center, which is directly across the street, and from the actually the Hilton Americas and the Marriott Marquis. So the concept and the thought is there. Now, you mentioned the medical aspect of it, and last I heard this would require, as far as by Houston being the medical capital of the United States, as far as more hospitals in the city of Houston than any other city, then how is that looking with the medical field? Because it would take somebody to jump on as a sponsor or as a partner with you on this project, as opposed to you trying to foot the bill for all these testing and all of the other stuff that comes with it, right?
I think that we've been fortunate, like in the position that we're in, because I feel like we were kind of first to market with our proposal. We've had a tremendous response from every industry that want to be a part of this and want to help support for various reasons, whether it's for branding opportunities, whether it's to promote their own hotels or resorts. We've had opportunities, even hospitals. So I think from a partnering standpoint, I think we'll be in a great place, because I think this is something that's revolutionary, and I think it's something that's big for the city of Houston and for college basketball. And there are a lot of people that are going to want to be a part to help and to do their part to make sure that these athletes stay safe.
And so, Rashi, so what would have to happen? We understand what would have to happen for it to get approval. You the 20 teams that you're proposing. Mm-hmm. Do you have a blanket 20-team frame in place for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to the variables, or have you gotten positive feedback from the 20 specific different teams to fill those slots? So
the interesting part is we've had at this point probably 80 or so, maybe a little more, teams from various levels, from I think over 23 conferences, that have called and basically said, hey, if this this season goes left and the NCAA allows it, we want to be a part of it. So from a team standpoint, I think we'll have kind of the option to pick and choose which teams work best, whether it's based on competition level or conference or logistics. I think we'll be able to have a nice assortment of teams. And the goal is for teams to basically play in an abbreviated non-conference schedule, which would consist of maybe 4 high major games, 2 mid-major games, and 2 low major games, just so that they can touch every team on every level. And ultimately, again, it's just to prepare for the conference schedule, which, again, if the way things stand today, conferences will probably have to play in some form of a bubble or pod, unless there are tremendous breakthroughs on testing, or unless there's a a vaccine for this thing that comes sooner.
Do you plan to include any HBCUs in this proposal?
Absolutely. So in our proposal, that's part of it is to kind of give back and to help the HBCU. So we have anywhere from 2 to 4 of those schools be HBCUs, and again, a ton of those schools have already reached out as well and showed interest of being a part of it. I think it benefits them. The high major schools, they don't want to be in a bubble and play 8 high major games and then go to conference play and play 16 more high major games. So the high major schools want to have, a variety of competition level. And again, I think it benefits the HBCU. So yes, we will have some of those involved, and we'll do our best to support them, to help them to be a part of it.
Now, without getting the details, the fees, as you mentioned earlier, this would be like a poker game. There would be a buy-in for the teams to, in this proposal, to go into the bubble. Is that buy-in the same amount, or does the rules mandate that each school must pay the same amount, or is TSU, for example, having to pay the same price as University of Texas?
We're still working through that, but the goal ultimately will be able to have tiers, where those who have more, contribute more, which that is life. But for HBCUs, the goal would be to get the prices as low as possible, or to even be comped if we have the resources to do that. But our goal is to help them be a part of this, because I think that is important, especially with things that are going on today in our society.
Now I'll ask you again. So this proposal is two-part question. This proposal will likely happen if what? Fill in the blank. What has to fall into place for this to have a likelihood, a high probability of happening? Connect those dots for us.
Ultimately, the NCAA is at the top of the food chain, and they will kind of be the ones to guide the process of, again, when the season starts, if teams are required to play some form of a non-conference schedule. Again, it benefits the NCAA when you're trying to put together teams for the NCAA tournament. I mean, you have to have some way to evaluate teams, based on strength of schedule. So, for instance, if you're a mid-major team, okay, and we play conference only, right? It's pretty much except for winning the conference or winning the conference tournament, you have zero chance of getting in that large bid, because your strength of schedule won't be at the same level as the 6th or 7th place team in one of the Power 5 conferences. So for those guys, this is really important for them. So again, the NCAA would have to come in and say, hey, here's the start time. Teams are required to play, 6, 7, 8 non-conference games, and that I think at that point, this thing becomes a viable option for a whole lot of teams, because again, I think it benefits everyone involved.
Now, you mentioned also that in this proposal, none of the teams would be able to arrive by charter plane, by commercial flights. I'm sorry. So that means, explain that, to elaborate on that for a minute for those, so they can understand how they would have to arrive in Houston.
Yep. So for instance, I mean, just in this region alone, if you just look at the number of high-level teams that are in a 5 or 6 hour driving distance, that's enough teams right there to put together a really, really competitive field, top to bottom. So those teams can drive in, but let's say there was a team from, wherever, Florida or Carolina. If they didn't drive in, they would not be able to get on a commercial flight, because again, they're going to team isolate first. So between that, when students go home for Thanksgiving break, that 7 or 8 day span, those guys will be required to just be secluded with their team. They can practice and work out, but they can't have any contact with anyone outside of the official travel party. So when it's time to travel, they would test. Anybody who tests positive would not be able to get on transportation here. And if you come in outside of a bus, it has to be a charter flight. And then when they arrive, we'll test them again before they enter the bubble.
And I mean, good. I mean, I'm loving the fact that you said it's been 3 or 4 months. You and your team have been working on the project, and what has been the response since the article a week ago today was posted on ESPN? What has the response been like from a lot of schools? Have you seen a spike in entrance or not?
Yes, it's been a ton of interest. So I started kind of presenting this to schools maybe a month ago, just some hypotheticals. And I think a month ago, schools were kind of in a different space where they were thinking, bubble only works for the NBA. But I think now with the way things are, I think that schools realize now that there is no basketball season outside of a bubble at this point. So schools are on board. Like I said, the day the article came out, in a 48-hour period, I probably had 71 or 2 schools call. And then in the last
You mean additional schools?
Additional schools. Well, the schools that I sent the proposal to,
yeah,
80% of those called and say, hey, if this thing goes left, we're in. Count us in. Put us on the short list. And then an additional, 30 schools or so, 40 schools or so have called since then. That have not even seen the proposal, which I'm sure the proposal has probably been passed around. But after seeing the article.
Rossi, you just said something that's key, and I just want to hop on it a little bit. I want you to expound. You said, if this thing goes left. Team said, if this thing goes left. Explain what goes left is.
So right now, every school, and again, some people are missing a few games, has a schedule that's pretty much done. Now, again, they may have 2 or 3, 4 games that they still have to get, but their schedule is done. But again, if the NCAA moves the start of the season, if you have 4 or 5 games scheduled before that, those games are out. Those games don't make sense anymore. And then the ADs and presidents may mandate that you can't play certain teams that don't have a certain testing requirement. So to me, a bubble just levels the playing field. The team that you're playing against has been tested every 24 hours and temperatures taken every 24 hours. So it's no guessing game. So I think that, when I say if it goes left, that means that the season is altered in a way that requires kids to play in a safe environment. And I've heard other proposals of, hey, let's go in and play, 2 or 3 games one weekend in a bubble, and then wait a week and then play 2 or 3 games in a bubble. And to me, the more moving in and out you do, the greater the chance is for someone to get infected. To me, the best chance to protect the student athletes is to lock everybody down, knock out the whole non-conference schedule before Christmas, right? From Thanksgiving to Christmas. Then you're on Christmas break, and then when you come back, you go right into conference play. So I think that this is the safest, most efficient, most effective way for teams to get non-conference games in a safe, secluded environment.
What you had, Adam?
No, I'm good. No, that was good. I like that. I like that. But you know what? Well, I can just add something, Ross. Ross, it's just, it's a great undertaking, and I'm just proud. I was proud when I looked at this. I'm just looking at ESPN and happened to see an article and a young man that I knew and watched grow up in this business and just to have the wherewithal to think about that. Like I say on this show, we got to understand that people around us are thinking different, and we got to get used to others like us being successful and supporting. And that when I ask you a question, I'm asking. If I ask you something, I'm asking you because I have a lot of knowledge on what's going on down there in Orlando. You follow me? And so and how and the things they had to go through, man. The late nights and I know you're gonna have late nights soon in the early mornings and because these people just tried and you're gonna have a lesser undertaking than they had. But it's it's just a unique thing because you're dealing and you have to do with that like you dealing with people's lives. And
exactly.
And you gotta, like you said, but 20-some people gonna travel with the team. That's 20 people that somebody's mama, dad, brother, sister, cousin, brother, cousin, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just proud that you had the just to say, okay, man, I'm gonna step out and try it. So you know, anything we can do, I know it's the public can't come in, but anything that we can do, especially me, that I can do to help, just like I called you when I needed help on a matter, information on a matter.
Oh yeah.
Just pick up the phone, and because I you know, me knowing the security teams and the team with Chris Paul and what's going on down there in Orlando, that I've never heard of nothing like that being. And guess what? They're gonna talk about it later, like when this and it might be in time for you, but I don't know what time they're gonna really let the general public know. But after this thing is over, see, it's a chance, Rossi. They working on now a contingent plan that it might be a bubble for next year.
This virus won't be gone 12
Yes.
months from now. So
Ye-
the things that
yes.
we're experiencing today, we'll still be wearing masks 12 months from now. This is a 2-year deal, because even if with the vaccine comes out in December, you know, I read somewhere that only 30% of the population is going to feel confident enough to take it,
Yeah,
and
I'm
only
not.
80% of that.
Yeah, I'm
And
not.
only 80% of that 30% will it be effective for. So this is something, this is not just a, hey, like a quick fix. Hey, let me come up with something to fix. I think that this is something that'll be probably a two year deal, 24-month deal. So, and again, whatever I can do with, you know, with my format to assist the NCAA and ultimately building the ultimate bubble, I would be happy to do that. And I think that the non-conference bubbles can kind of serve as some preliminary, you know, operations guidelines so that they can test it. Because once the NCAA puts together the bubble for the NCAA tournament, it's got to be better than the bubble that we're putting together. So I think that this will be a great opportunity for all of us to learn and grow together and to protect the student athletes.
Now, you mentioned at the top of the show, you have 2 events taking place for college teams. One is a doubleheader in Houston featuring Texas A&M, University of Texas, Boise State, and Louisiana Tech. And what's the date for that one? I think it's like December the 18th, I want to say off the top of my head.
December 18th
Yeah.
at Toyota Center is that doubleheader. Yep, Boise versus Texas A&M, University of Texas versus Louisiana Tech.
And what's the name and the date of the other event?
The other event is Hoop Hype XL College Basketball Showcase. That event is November 13th in Dallas, Texas, and that features Oklahoma State versus North Texas. And then we're still working on the second game of that doubleheader, which is pretty close to being done, but you know, the pandemic has slowed some contract signing down. But
Yeah,
those are the 2 events we have.
So those events got a chance of being canceled.
I think every event that's on anybody's schedule has a chance of being canceled in the
I
next
got you.
3 weeks.
Okay.
Once the NCAA
I got you. Okay.
Again, in a perfect world, we want to move. You know, there's a vaccine tomorrow. We want to move forward and host our events because we think that's some high level events with some of the you know, the number 1 draft prospect in the country. You know, will be going back to his hometown in Cade Cunningham, and you know, against a team in Dallas and North Texas. I just think that that's a huge. And then anytime you can have Texas and Texas A&M in Houston with the fan base here, I think that, you know, that's something that could be a tremendous event. So I hope one of you guys come up with the vaccine so we can move forward with that.
No,
But
I'm
if
not
not,
coming up with the
we
vaccine.
have-
Just tell me, y'all call me when Orona then went back to China. That's when I'm gonna be all right. That's when y'all call me. Y'all can't come to me with no vaccine. Y'all call me when Rona, because it done left everywhere else except here. When it leave and go back to where the hell it came from, that's when you gonna see me back. Oh, Doug, have another event then and see where I be. I'll be right up in there with Doug. But no.
Yeah, so we all have to have contingency plans, and I think schools are starting to realize that now, and they're starting to prepare for, you know, A, B, C, D scenario. And again, I don't think that this is a 5-month deal. I think that this is a 24-month deal where people will still be wearing masks in venues, you know, 2 years from now.
Wow.
And I was just looking at some of the questions, but first I'm gonna get to some of the questions in the Boom Boom Room. but want to chime in on that and piggyback off of that last question, what you just said, and that is the event in November in Dallas, November the 13th is the first. That's right now projected to be a doubleheader. You have one game on the slot confirmed, and in that game, just say things as is. That game, what are the measures in place? Because that's two different cities as far as occupancy, percentages and whatnot. What measures are currently in place for Dallas, and what's currently in place for Houston?
I think again, when I started at the top of the show, the reason that this bubble concept that we've created came into fruition is because we were initially trying to figure out how to savage those events. What would be the testing protocol? What would be the occupancy? But as it stands today, if those events went forward, there probably wouldn't be any fans allowed. It would be it wouldn't necessarily be a bubble, but we would have to isolate the teams. We would have to test the guys. Hopefully on the day of the game, if the saliva testing is further along and available to everyone. But it would be no fans, but it still would be a high level game. But again, for teams to come play in one event in Dallas and then travel to play in another event in Louisiana and then fly to, Vegas and play in another event, for 12 of those games. And even worse, allow teams outside of their region with various testing protocols to come into your arena. In today's climate, it makes zero sense. And I think the only safe way to put together a real non-conference schedule that's safe and secluded is to get everybody together in one bubble and knock it all out at one time, and then go on to conference play after Christmas.
And so now you're now back to the questions. First question, I think Herb asked, if the kids go home for Christmas, would they would have to start over? That's what he's asking. I guess he's mentioning on the bubble proposal. You say, I think you mentioned December the 1st through the 21st, something like that. So,
yep.
So that means that Christmas break would start on the 22nd.
23rd, yep.
And that's 3 days.
That would be up to the team. So after the 21st, our event is complete. So now their conference schedule is done. So non-conference schedule is done. So now it's just a matter of when does the conference have them slated to start? Which in this scenario, the kids, some teams may not let their kids go home for Christmas. Because again, the safest place for most of these kids is with their team, with team doctors in a secluded environment. So they may have to stay on campus because the student body won't be there.
Some teams might not let their student athletes, not their employees now.
Yep.
They student athletes go home. Might not let. Wow.
And why you say that? Elaborate on that.
What you mean? I'm just saying. He said it, and nothing condemning what he said. I'm just saying that
I'm not talking to you.
Oh,
I'm asking Rossi to elaborate on that.
I just think that, and again, you can't make a student athlete do anything. But I think that what is going to be would probably be recommended is that students stay. And the thing is, if they leave and go home, right? Let's say your conference does a bubble. And these are all hypothetical.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say conference play starts January 15th. Okay. And they're in an isolated environment. If a kid goes home for Christmas, he goes home the 23rd through the 27th. Right. If he comes back and he doesn't, let's say he tests positive, but it may not show itself until the 1st. Right. With the protocols that are in place, he may have to sit out for 14 days to quarantine before he can play again. So some of going home is not just, to say, hey, we're keeping athletes here. Some of it is to allow the athletes the opportunity that they signed up for, which is to play at the collegiate level. So if you go home, you're around your family, you come back, you test positive on the 1st, that means you got to quarantine for 14 days. You may miss the trip to conference play. That means you can't practice. You can't work out with the team. So you put yourself at a disadvantage. So you're talking about guys that want to perform at a high level and be ready for conference play. All of us are going to have to make some sacrifices. That's just a part of being, sports at a high level. So
that was just a key word you said that, and I just want you. I'm glad you said that.
I'll probably use the wrong word. It would probably be suggested.
No, I got something for you. The kids, if the kids are bought into this process, they not gonna want to go home.
No question. If I'm a student athlete, which I've been a student athlete at Division I school, you want to have success on that court. You want your team to do well. You want to prepare for the NCAA tournament. You want to have a shot at the tournament. So to go home for 4 or 5 days and have a chance to possibly not just screw up the season for yourself, but it affects your teammates, especially if you're one of the better guys. So I think everybody's gonna have to make some sacrifices. One, in the name of health, and two, in the name of college athletics. That's just what you signed up for.
Yeah, and the reason I said that in these sensitive times, what's going on with NCAA, they have control over these bodies that there's not their employees. So that's why you got to understand. We're talking to a national audience here. It's people in California listening to us, people in Florida listening to us. So, and a lot of parents and a lot of people are sensitive to that fact that they say the NCAA is running and telling my kid what to do, whatever. You follow me, Rossi? So that's why when you said they're gonna make them, I wanted to make sure you.
I think I misspoke. The word is not make them. Yeah. The word is to say we strongly recommend that the student athletes on this particular team follow these protocols. And again, it protects the kids as well, because I think you have a greater chance of contracting the virus going home to a family gathering when nobody possibly have been tested than to be on campus with your team where they're testing every day and you're kind of in a secluded environment. And again, it could change the course of your season. So if I'm a guy and I say, hey, I want to have a shot at having success in college as an athlete, and most of the athletes think they're going to the pros anyway. So everything you do, every game you play, is magnified. So to miss 14 days in the middle of the season, that could derail your success that season and the success of your team.
And Rossi, I would like to take this opportunity to our young people who listen, or who going to listen to it later or not watching it now, to watch what I see going on. I know a lot of people are congratulating you on the feed. We hope this thing happens so you can have a chance to show what you can do. But what I love about it is, it's a chance. You check this out, young people. He forecasts it's a chance that I got two or three events that might not happen this year. I got two events, one in Dallas, one in Houston, I think, like that. I hope I didn't miss. And guess what? So what I got to do is I got to be prepared. If these things don't happen, I'm not just going to sit here with my hands in my pocket. I got something else I'm going to propose. That's what people, and not just kids, but I want our kids to grasp it. This is a great example of how to do it. If one door closes, just make sure you always looking for another door. And that's what Rossi, you said. Hey, hold up now. I got this invested here and this invested here. Hold on. Pandemic. And guess what, Rossi? On this show, go back and get the tape. I said it's going to be some great things happen out of this pandemic. I said it's going to be some millionaires and some billionaires out of this pandemic. This months ago when it first started. If without this pandemic, you wouldn't have had the wherewithal to even try this. Rossi, you follow me? This is a great, great lesson for players. When the coach trying to put me, I'm a point guard. He trying to put me in shooting guard. I mean, if he guess what he doing now? He opening up an opportunity for you to learn another position, son. So quit whining. Find a way to get it done. So, that's the example. That's the thing that I'm looking at, Rossi, and just proud of what you did. If you want to comment on that, you can.
No, I appreciate that. I thank you for those kind words. I think that for all of us, especially if you're involved in some kind of business where you're an entrepreneur, you always have to be thinking about not just what's next, but the contingency plan you know, if option A doesn't work, and I like the option A's we have, like with the 2 events we have on the slate, like I'm fired up.
Right.
But when it started looking like it could be different, and you know, then obviously we all have to kind of pivot, and that was my selling point to the coaches and the teams that I sent the proposal to is, hey, now is the time to start thinking about pivoting. And I think it took teams a long time to get out of, hey, we played 12 non-conference games. We've done this for, 30 years, and this is the way we're going to do it. In this pandemic, there is no, I'm doing it this way.
That's right.
You always have to figure out what are the alternatives, because this thing has altered everybody's life, not just in the sports industry, but just our daily lives. So we all have to be creative and try to think outside the box to figure out, how to push the game forward. And that's all I want to do is contribute to helping to push the college basketball game forward. Does it benefit me? Absolutely. But does it benefit the teams, the players, the NCAA, and everybody else involved? Absolutely. I think we all benefit from it. It benefits the television networks. If there's no non-conference games, that means that's a whole lot of content that won't be played, and a whole lot of commercial inventory that they won't be able to sell. So I think everybody involved in college athletics can benefit from this to some degree.
Man, I mean, that's Rossi Karen, guys. Port Arthur native, Houston resident.
Shout out Port Arthur, Texas.
Who is spearheading a group with a proposal, a bubble idea that would enable a lot of teams to complete a non-conference season from December the 21st to the 21st, and in Houston, Texas. This could be epic if it is activated. And so that's the thing that, all eyes on you, because I'm looking in just 2 years, you're 2 summers removed from being a grassroots basketball coach, volunteer, operator, program director.
Mm-hmm.
And when innovating, these is what happens when you're able to free your mind and utilize your knowledge, your teachings. And this is what happens and what can happen. And so what advice do you have for other people out there who are, who can be the next Rossi Karen, or can be greater than Rossi tomorrow? They're out there that are holding back on their innovations, or restricting themselves from taking a leap of faith and gambling on themselves.
I think that, at least for me, some of it is just like personality. I think even in grassroots, I feel like, with myself and Teddy Wheeler and our staff at Basketball University, I thought we did some things there that were innovative and next level at the grassroots level. And again, I think that the kids that came through our program had success, and I think from a branding and marketing and innovation standpoint, those kids benefited from it. So all I'm doing now is just trying to take some of the things that I learned in the grassroots space and some of the relationships that I fostered in the grassroots space, and just kind of taking it to another level. But to answer your question, there's a couple of things that I would say, here are the things that are important. One is to develop great relationships. I think sometimes, especially in our community, African American community, we spend so much time worrying about other people's business and gossiping about this and tearing this person down, and somebody does something and we figure out how to criticize it, instead of trying to figure out how can I help support what you're doing, and in turn, it always comes back. It's just like what we talked about the other day, how you call me about something now, I might call you next week about something. To me, that's how we have success as a community. I think there's enough opportunities for everybody to have some part. Now, everybody's level of success will be different, but build genuine relationships, be happy for people, see how you can assist, help other people. Don't talk about people or backbite or try to pull people down, but be supportive of what other people are doing, because it's biblical, man. You reap what you sow. So I feel like I've always been a person that would support. If Jimmy has something, I'll support it. And you're not gonna hear me out in the streets on Twitter talking about people. That's just not my style. So when I need help from people, I can pick up the phone and say, hey, I need you to help me do this. And you know what? They may help me because they think I'm a nice guy. They may help me because I helped them with something 2 years before. But I think relationships are key, and I think that is undervalued in the grassroots, especially in the African American community. And then probably the second thing would be is to work at things and put time and effort into it. You see so many guys that they'll be doing this one year, and the next year they're doing this, then the next year they're doing this, and the next year they're doing this. You have to sit down somewhere and develop a skill set and develop time to kind of master an industry. So I spent 17 years in grassroots, 16 years in grassroots basketball. And I just think that guys jump around and try to, I'm going here, I'm going to coach with this team, and I'm going to do this. I think at some point you have to develop what you're good at and sit down and spend time perfecting your craft. And I think to me, and all of that's tied in with having a great work ethic. But those are the things that are important.
Well,
great relationships.
I got something for you, Ross.
What you got?
I'm just sitting there listening to you. And I was just thinking about, and I got to tell you, your instincts are taking you somewhere in your life. But you will have naysayers, okay? I know you had some when you started this, but I want you to remember this. The giraffe and the turtle, learn this from Bishop Jakes, occupy the same space, but they don't have the same view. Okay? Giraffe and a turtle. He's right there on the ground, right? The same, they occupy the same space, but they don't have the same view. The giraffe can be in the same geographical space that the turtle is, but the giraffe eats from the top of the trees, Rossi. And the turtle move along the grass. What ultimately happens, Rossi?
I'm not able to hear you.
Huh? You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
Well, we got how to while he's getting the audio together.
Oh, you can't.
I gotta get a new microphone.
Yeah, that's what it is. He getting it together. He gonna
wait a minute. Can y'all hear me? I'm not worried about it. I wanted Rossi to hear me, but could the other people? But I think the stands are hearing me. The people, Jimmy, you how you know the people can't hear? Look,
Rossi could not hear you.
I can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
All right. Yeah. What? Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, they hear me. Okay, but I wanted Rossi to hear this. I wanted Rossi to hear it. Rossi, can you hear me now?
Rossi, he can hear you now.
Okay. All right.
He couldn't hear you then.
Because this message was for you, but everybody's going to get it. Okay? And all I was saying, Rossi, was your instincts are taking you to somewhere in your life, and but you're going to have naysayers. You heard that, right? And I was just letting you know that the giraffe
and the turtle.
Yeah, and the turtle, they can occupy the same space at the same time. But what ultimately happens is in our life, as people, people eat at the level of their vision. You hear me? The turtle eats from the grass. The giraffe eats from the tree. But let me tell you something. You always remember this. You got a view that the turtle don't have. Don't you ever try to limit the turtle trying to tell you how to do what you're doing, and you got a view that he can't see. And I just wanted you to see, the devil didn't want you to hear that. That's what people don't understand. You can have people occupying the same space with you, but you're eating from the top of the tree, and you got a vision that he can't see. And people eat from the level of their visions. And I just always want you to, son, you done took yourself to a place. Don't you listen to them turtles, and keep on taking care of your business, baby. All right?
I appreciate that. That's a great nugget. And I think for all of us, at least for myself, like one of the things I pray about daily is for wisdom and to have insight. And I think that should be all of our prayer, that God gives us wisdom and insight and open doors gives us vision to see certain things that other people don't see. So that's always my prayer, and I've been blessed to, for God to be able to show me some things and open some doors for me. So and I believe He'll continue to do that. So I'm excited about however this plays out. I'm excited about the work that we've done and the possibility that could be in front of us.
And I'm gonna tell you the reason I said that to you, Rossi, is because it's a couple of times I lost out on opportunities because I listened to the Turtles. That's why I'm telling you what I'm telling you right now. Missed out on several opportunities listening to them Turtles. And somebody told me, dude, you're a giraffe. Don't be listening down there. Don't listen to that. So, yeah, so that's all. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, Jimmy, what you got?
Yeah, and of course, Rossi, we are closing in towards landing the plane, but I would be remiss if I did not get your thoughts on the game, which is about to tip off shortly. Game 2, Houston Rockets, OKC Thunder. And give us your prediction, your thoughts on Game 1 and your projection on this series, and how far do you think these Houston Rockets are going to go this season?
Obviously for me, I live in Houston. I'm from Port Arthur. I'm a Houstonian now, but I want to see the Rockets have success. But to be honest with you, when I'm watching the games now, I'm not watching, and I'm a basketball guy, but right now I'm not watching as much hoop. I'm watching the game beyond the game in the bubble. The layout of the courts and the advertising and the branding and all of those things. So I spend more time these days watching those things. But I hope the Rockets pull it off, and I hope that this is a season and an abbreviated season that they can make a run. I think it's good for the city. But my eyes will be on some other things as the game unfolds.
And are you have you ever been able to adapt and learn a lot of the stuff from the behind the scenes of the NBA bubble?
Absolutely. I've talked to numerous guys that have kind of walked me through a lot of the protocols, because here's the thing, the NBA they did it. So it's not, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. So my goal is to learn and get as much from everybody that has any information on, the event industry or disease control or the virus or testing or protocol. So that's how we have a 70-page events manual that we put together with guidelines and protocols for our bubble. And we created that based on conversations with, medical professionals and doctors and people inside the NBA bubble and other corporations who have put together smaller bubbles from a business standpoint. Here are 3 or 4 nuggets that they've given me about their protocol for, checking into the office and, cleaning the computers, and this person can't touch this. And if it's touched, then it needs to be wiped. And, so we're learning from everybody. It's not just a sports thing. This thing is about putting together an environment that's safe, that's secluded, and that that follows the guidelines that are going to be set before us by the health and safety people here in Houston.
And there you have it, guys. Rossi Karen, and do you miss coaching or being involved with grassroots basketball?
I do not. Again, I think I had a great run at it. I developed a ton of relationships with families and players and coaches that I still have to this day. We've put a number of guys in college, and again, a lot of it was because of Teddy Wheeler and kind of his basketball expertise. But I've accomplished everything that I want to accomplish in that space. So to answer your question, I don't miss it at all. I'm happy where I am. I get to spend more time with my family. I was traveling AAU tournaments every weekend for 10 years. And I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old daughter that I get to see every day now, that I didn't have that opportunity before. So I don't want to spend my whole life investing in everybody else's child and helping everybody else's child achieve their dreams, just to hear parents complain when I have my own kids that I invest in. So I'm excited about the chapter that I'm in now. So
how much complaining do you normally get during the week being a program director in grassroots basketball? Because a lot of people may not really be abreast of that.
Well, see, some of it was my own doing, because the way our program was structured, most grassroots programs are structured. There's a program director, but the individual teams kind of run themselves. So the coaches get the complaining from the 10 parents on that team. Ours was all under one umbrella, where all 16 teams or however many teams we had at that time, I oversaw all of them and the coaches. So, you know, instead of getting complaints from 10 parents, I could get complaints from 160 parents. So my load of complaining was probably a lot more than other people just because of the way our organization was structured. But my personality, my name is on it. I want to be able to kind of have a hand on and manage and kind of oversee to make sure that things are going right. But in exchange for that, I gotta answer to a whole lot more parents than the typical probably director would have to.
Now, I wanted to ask you, the other day we were talking grassroots, and that was a topic about sneaker teams not being enthused to playing the local non-sneaker sponsored programs. So what is your thought on that topic? First and foremost, when you had your sneaker deal, what enabled or prevented you or your thoughts? What was your What was your view on or your approach towards playing, once again, non-sneaker sponsored local teams at the 17U?
At 17U, I think that I think program directors are always conscious about who they play. Well, for us, we wanted to play everybody, but I think that there's value in the sneaker teams playing the local teams. I think it's good for the city ones. It gives some of those kids on the other teams an opportunity to take a shot at some of the other kids who are deemed to be the highest level kids. But I think just like college basketball, when you build a college basketball schedule at a high major level, and I'm saying the sneaker teams would be equivalent to a high major team, you can't just play high major teams. In order to build out your roster and to work on scheme and execution and to figure out, what guys best play in what position or how they perform at the end of games, you have to play every level of team. So I think it's important that the sneaker teams in this city, they don't have to fill a whole schedule with non-sneaker teams locally, but I think that they should give some of those guys a shot. I think it helps prepare their team. I think it's good for the city, and I think it's good for the non-sneaker teams to be able to kind of make some noise in the city. I think it's all about competition.
So you never worried about, well, I can't let these guys beat me because they're going to get on Twitter and talk about me and talk bad about me on my program like that. You didn't never worry about stuff. Did you worry about that?
Always thought we would win. So I feel like if Teddy Will is the best coach and we have the best players, we should win. And if we don't win, I tell my guys, I need to try to figure out how to get some of those other guys. So I never worried about that. Now, but we couldn't fill our whole schedule with that, because when you're a sneaker team, you may have 50 teams that want to play you. You can't play all 50 of them. But the guys that I had relationships with, like we would play the Raptors and some of the other local teams. If I have relationships with those guys, I think that's important, because I think it helps their programs as well to kind of see where they stack up. So, but if you have the best coach and you have the best players, in theory, you should win the game. And if you don't, you might have the wrong players.
Yeah, or the wrong coach.
Or the wrong coach.
I mean, that's well thought out. I mean, that's parallel to my thoughts. It's like you should win, but you can't play them all.
Can't play them all.
And so when you were not a sneaker sponsor versus when you got your sneaker deal, give the non-sponsored sneaker program director, the non-sponsored program director, give them provide some nuggets to help them understand, though, the layers, like you just mentioned. They can't play all you guys, but to help them understand some things that you learned once you crossed over and got your sponsorships about how this stuff really works. What did you learn? The purpose of grassroots basketball for a sneaker on that circuit. A lot of you probably didn't know that the day or the year before. So what are some of those?
I think like for me, so when I started Basketball University, like my first team, I had 10 kids that went to Memorial High School. So my first team were all Memorial kids. So
really?
Yeah. So for us, we kind of went through the whole.
Why did you mention Memorial kids? Memorial kids are not that good?
No, what I'm saying is that's where I started. So if you look at the history of Memorial High School basketball, I don't think that they have the same history as a Yates, a Yates High School or Port Arthur Lincoln High School. So the kids that I started with, they were playing baseball and soccer and those other things. But the level of commitment to chasing a Division I scholarship was not the mentality of the kids that I had at the time. It's a different world. But to answer your question, I believe that again, it goes back to relationships. Like, you got to be good to people. So I think teams gave us an opportunity to play against them because I wasn't gonna get on Twitter saying, "Hey, this team sucks. My guy's better than this guy." This program director. I was never gonna do that. And I felt like I was always, hey, thank you for the opportunity. Because the reality is the sneaker teams don't have to play you. So if they play you, thank them for the opportunity, get something out of it, but don't bash after you beat them. You should tell the score. If you won, you should, but you shouldn't talk about, this team sucks and my kids are better. They're never gonna play you again, and they're never gonna do anything to help you. So you got to look at it. They gave me an opportunity to play on that level. We beat them. Thank you for the opportunity. Big your kids up, but don't put their kids down or their program or their staff or be on Twitter killing them. They'll never play you again. So it goes back to how you conduct yourself in relationships, what opportunities you get. And then as you continue to beat those teams, again, you got to, be connected with guys like Jim Hicks and other guys in the space that can help give you some direction on how to pursue a sneaker contract. But that sneaker game is probably forever changed now. The chances of guys getting sneaker deals is slim to none. I get text messages every day.
Why you say that?
Because I think that the shoe companies have realized now, and I got out of grassroots for 7 or 8 different reasons, but the shoe companies created the circuits and these teams to put themselves in position to be next to the top guys in hopes that one of those guys will break through and become LeBron or Kobe, and you already have a relationship with them there, and you can put your shoes, merchandise, and apparel on them. Well, I think what shoe companies have realized now, a kid can be on the Adidas circuit or the Nike circuit or Under Armour circuit for 7 years. But when it's time to sign his shoe contract, at the end of the day today, whoever pays him the most money, he gonna sign with. It could be a Chinese shoe company. It could be, whatever. There is no loyalty. It's about who can pay them the most money. So if Nike, you play with Nike your whole career, Nike offer you, $250,000 in some merchandise, and then Puma come along and offer you $1 million, you're gonna wear Puma. It don't matter if you like the shoe or not. You're gonna make yourself. You're gonna put some insoles in them, and you're gonna make yourself like
Marvin Bagley.
But that's business, though.
Marvin Bagley was the darling of Nike.
But that isn't
Trey Young.
Isn't that that's business, though, right? So loyalty, because you mentioned in loyalty, what? So a player, So you saying a player, just cause I played on your you're probably not saying this. I'm just trying to make it clear to the people.
Yep.
I played for Nike for 7 years. John Wall did. John Wall was a Nike kid. And as soon as he got in that league, he went signed Reebok. Mm-hmm. Whoever paid him the most money. So if Nike can't pay you that money, what's wrong? If Nike giving me $250,000 and and Puma giving me $1 million, is that not good business?
You should sign with Puma. The loyalty and relationships come into play when all things are equal. Okay. So if Nike offer you $250 and Puma offer you $275, the loyalty, I would say you probably should sign with Nike. But I think again, part of loyalty is me being honest with you and say, "Hey, you my guy, right?"
Yeah.
I appreciate the offer, but just we still got great relationship.
Right.
But I got to take this deal, not burn the relationship, because once that deal is over, right? I may be coming back to you and say, "Hey, Haddock, you still got that $250,000 deal on the table? Now I've gotten $1 million." And then I come back and get the $250. But again, relationship and loyalty means that I have a level of respect for you, that just because things don't work out, I don't burn the bridge. So I think that's business. You're right. But I think the shoe companies have learned, okay, that is business. So we don't need 50 sneaker teams running around the city that we're spending, $10, $12 million on for a circuit. I think we're gonna see those numbers come down. I think they have to have presence in that space, but I don't think the way they've done business is gonna be the way they do business going forward.
So what's their strategy now? I don't have to. What's my strategy now? I just wait until he becomes. I mean, what's their strategy now?
I think the strategy now is to find the key influencers in the space. So I don't need 50 teams, but I can find the 10, 12 guys who have the most influence in the space, guys that do a great job of branding, guys that do a great job of promoting the brand in a positive way, getting involved in community initiatives in the city. So if I don't have to spend $10 million on a circuit anymore, I can take a couple of those $1 million and do different things to help the community. And all of those things bring your brand to the forefront. It's great PR. And I think that it brings attention to your brand. So I think that they're going to figure out other ways to be more community minded, with the Black Lives Matters movement.
Yeah, because they saying they're going to spend a lot of money. You're right.
I can see them taking money out of grassroots and putting it in that. And all you want is presence. But you do need, some of the key guys that can move and shake and can connect you with kids. But you don't need 50 of them. So I think that the shoe companies are starting to realize that. So it's hard to get a shoe deal. Now, it's harder than when we got a shoe deal 6-7 years ago. It's just a different world. The world is a different place now. So you got to figure out how to be creative and figure out how to add value in some other aspect.
And now, of course, Rossi, tonight, the NBA will be holding the draft lottery.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the, of course, the Warriors, the Cavaliers, the Timberwolves, those are the 3 teams with the highest percentage odds of getting that number 1 ball. For the first time in recent years, there's no clear-cut number 1 player in the pick in the draft. It's all contingent on who gets this ball tonight. The young men of the 3 or 4 players that is in the in consideration and all possibilities that could be drafted number 1, played in the backcourt with one of your former stars when you sponsored the grassroots program, Basketball University. That right? And so then that would be Anthony Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Anthony Edwards is you got a chance to watch Georgia play a number of times this year. Give us your thoughts on this draft tonight, the lotto balls, as well as your projections.
I think that just like say this is a unique draft. To me, the draft is not always about who's the best player. Sometimes the draft is about what your team needs. And sometimes the draft is about who you feel from a business standpoint can help put some butts in the seats, even if it's just for a couple of years, even if they don't pan out. So I really like Anthony Edwards. Like I said, I got Xavier Wheeler plays there. I watched them play 25 games this year. I think he has a high ceiling, and I think he has a work ethic to go with it. And what I like about Anthony Edwards the most, for guys that are at the top of the food chain, usually when they're on their college teams, a lot of those guys are selfish. It's just about them. They want to make it to the NBA. He was just such a team guy, so inclusive. If you watched him in the post-game interviews, it was always about the coach, his teammates. Somebody did a good job of preparing him as a young man. He was not a selfish guy, but his talent was on a totally different level. And if you ever seen him in person, like physically, he's not human. That's a different guy.
Imposing.
So yeah, he just built different. Like it's like somebody made him out of clay. I like him. Great kid, high ceiling, can score the ball, but he's just a great team guy, and that's what keeps you in the NBA. If all things being equal, talent is good. You got to be able to get along with other guys. That keeps you around, 10, 12, 13, 14 years. So I like Anthony Edwards. I like LaMelo Ball. I think LaMelo Ball has a high ceiling as well. But ultimately it's gonna come down to what a team needs.
What you like about LaMelo?
What's funny? I watched LaMelo since the time he was 12 years old when they had the team with he was playing with his older brother, and he would just leak out and shoot a bunch of threes. So just kind of watching the evolution of him as a player and as a young man has been incredible. From being like a 5'9" gunner to being a 6'7" pass first point guard with feel and vision. And I think that I think in today's game, if you look at positional size, dribble, pass, shoot, at 6'7", in theory he should be able to guard 1s, 2s, and 3s. If teams go small, hell, he might be able to guard a 4 at some point. So I think that he fits today's game. So
how many ball games?
I think either one of those.
How many ball games he can help you win next year?
I think if you're in the lottery, you're probably not going to win a lot of games anyway. Okay. But I think all of that's predicated on what you have around him. Again, he's a pass first guy, so he needs other guys around him that can score and that have an appetite to get buckets. So we'll see. When you're at the bottom of the pack, man, you're there for a reason. And it's going to take a lot more than LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards to make a team, make a drastic change. Just look how long it took Philadelphia. I heard y'all talking about Philadelphia earlier. Look how long it took Philadelphia to get to the point that they are now. It's been a long process. They got some really good players.
Yeah.
Now I know one thing. It would be poetic justice if indeed the Atlanta Hawks get anywhere in that top 4 or that top 3, so to speak, and that way they would have a high likelihood of Anthony Edwards remaining at home. And that would be a good feel-good story based on the fact that Atlanta, the Hawks are on the uptick with Trae Young, and then they have the big fella sitting out from the Rockets. What's his name? The one that we traded. What's his name? Clint Capella and all that. That team will be fascinating. Then of course, if the Warriors get the first pick, they can actually, believe it or not, the Golden State Warriors can get the first pick in the draft based on what they have sitting out this year. That's another whole story. And I would think they would probably go with James Wiseman if they did, but or Anthony Edwards if they did so. I like
Obi Toppins too, big kid that was at Dayton.
For the number one, not for the number 1 pick though.
No, not for number 1 pick. I'm just saying, one of those top 5 picks. I like him in that range. I think overall, if you look at, I think Anthony Edwards would probably be most guys' number 1 pick. Or LaMelo Ball, I would guess. Depending on what you need, I think both of those guys are really good.
Y'all talking about them top picks. I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the next Jimmy Butler, because that's one of the most amazing players I've ever seen. I did not know this guy, and I know he got better and better over time, but his competitive, I just don't see that. I don't know nobody in the NBA that just competes like him.
Patrick Beverly.
Huh? Who?
Your guy, Patrick Beverly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
I mean, Patrick Beverly. That's a hell of a. He has a hell of a story. Yeah. And one thing about Patrick Beverly in Houston, he's been giving back in Houston. I remember he does a big camp every year and every kid that came to his camp, he gave them in one of the trips. They split them among trips when Clippers was in Houston earlier this year. Every camper got to come to the game. And Bev came out and talked to all of those kids after the Clippers played the Rockets in one of the different trips. He had one crowd one time, one crowd another time. And that is following all the way through. So that means like when his camps, it's like, man, and he's one of those guys that engaged. When you see the guys at the camp, he's out there with the kids and playing around with them, high-fiving them,
He about that life. He loves the game.
He loves that stuff, man. That is kind of cool.
He really is about that life.
He about that.
But anyway, Ross, it's time to land this plane.
We get
coming up
Ross.
shortly, guys. On ESPN is the Houston Rockets and, of course, the OKC Thunder. Russell Westbrook will not be playing today. Russell Westbrook is probably, guys, don't expect to see him this series unless there's a Game 7. and which I doubt very seriously, and I hope not. For us, but that would be the smart thing to do for the Rockets. Let him heal all the way through the month of August on that, at least, to say the least.
I hope
so
we have
once
that
again,
luxury, because that bunch of ragtag dudes that James Harden got out there with him, I don't know. I got to find my second best player, who supposedly, Rossi, by money standards, what's the boy name? Who always get hurt? If you swing.
Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon is supposed to be the third best.
The second player. He should be. If he plays well, we'll be.
Well, he did. He did in game one.
He's all right. Missed 4 layups.
He
Jimmy.
did. No.
I don't like you. Hold on. If you miss 4 layups, I don't like you.
But when he missed those layups, the game was already decided. You could do what you want to do then. You play. He missed them layups. He didn't miss them when what's your guy name? Mubuati missed them layups. Whatever the hell his name is. Remember last year in the playoffs? And they still got him on the roster.
But
he snuck back on the roster.
Rossi. But he blamed James. He don't even know how to pronounce the man's name, and I don't either. And you blame James Harden for all of this garbage he been having over the years. And talking about, well, he can't win the big one. Y'all keep giving him heavy trash. Hot garbage.
Man, stop. If you take away the Miami Heat and think about LeBron James' time in Cleveland, James Harden played more Hall of Famers than LeBron.
Jimmy, come on, man. Jimmy.
I'm talking about the Hall of Famers. You're talking about your teammates. He's played with more Hall of Famers James have than LeBron will have in the Cleveland. If you only in Cleveland. We're not talking about Anthony Davis in LA, and we're not talking about D Wade.
Rossi, he didn't hear me. It's a difference between the star player. It's a vast difference between Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. It's a vast difference between your best player and your second best player. It's a chasm, Jimmy, that's so wide you can't even see it. Hold up. And that second player, Rossi, can be a Hall of Fame player. But it's just a big difference between James and Eric Gordon and the rest of them guys. Now hold on.
So you're saying there's a big difference between T.J. Warren and Oladipo?
Well, neither one of those are stars. Neither one of those are stars. I said star, Jimmy, in the NBA, star. I ain't talking about the star player on your starter on your team. I said
All-star.
Star. And you might not understand what I mean. So guess what? I ain't got time to explain it. And guess what? I got to go, and I know Rossi got to go because he asked me what time it was. So Rossi, hey, we gonna get out of here, man.
Rossi, Karen, guys, and of course, we are getting ready to land this plane on this Baby Friday. Make sure you share the show if you hadn't done so already. Share the show to your timelines and friends. We'll see you guys back on Monday. A lot of great talk. That was a good convo. Make sure you lock that in and spread the word about the Chop Shop. And this weekend, we will be over at the gym on Sunday for Rucker on Wood, the world's largest open gym, which will take place that Sunday afternoon. And it is completely sold out. And it's going to be a lot of
sold out or completely filled up.
Completely sold out in regarding to the registration for the players.
So it's filled up. Cause it
slots, and that's going to be a lot of talent in the building over at the gym. Also, that's going to be for 9th and 10th graders. Next Sunday will be August the 30th, will be 11th and 12th graders, and on that Sunday afternoon. Also, it was something that I had. We had a lot of stuff in the mailbag, and a lot of you guys have sent the emails to me and text messages. I will get to that stuff on Monday. But right now, it's time to go and get in front of the screen and watch these Rockets take care of business versus OKC Thunder. We'll see how they go. Anyway, guys, on behalf of Robert Haller, I'm Jim Hicks. It's time to get up out of here. Peace. Be good.
Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter. You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop.